Welcome to the class of neural networks. Starting with associative memory. The associative memory belongs to the class of neural networks, where it learns according to the input and output patterns, usually to acquire prior information, and their connectivity matrices most often need to be performed in advance. Okay, so here it is obtaining the input and output pattern, that is, it is trying to learn the input and output patterns to acquire the prior information and their connectivity matrices, which is to be performed in advance. So this is the definition of your associative memory. From this you can understand what is the associative memory. The associative memory usually enables a parallel search within a stored data file. The purpose of search is to obtain one or all stored data that matches the given search argument and to retrieve it entirely or partially. So it is doing a parallel search operation of a stored data file so that it can retrieve the entire operation of searching or even partially. And it is also believed that the biological memory operates according to your associative memory principles. And no memory location, that is, no memory has a location that is address, and storage is distributed over a large densely interconnected assembly of neurons. So this was about your associative memory, where the first few lines define the associative memory. Then the second one shows how the search operation for a stored data file is carried out, that is, how the searching in the associative memory is being done. And the third one is the comparison or the illustration that our biological memory also operates with as per the principles of the associative memory. Now we'll move towards auto-associative memory. Here, the auto-associative memory requires suppressions of the output noise at memory output. So here the output noise is required. This can be done by thresholding the output, that is, achieving the threshold of the output by recycling the output followed by a feed forward process. There a in a neural network, that is our neural network only we are working. Such network has a feedback non-linear mapping in the form of thresholding and dynamic, that is, it is dynamical. So moving on with the characteristics of the auto-associative memory. The characteristics, that is, the ideal characteristics of auto-associative memory are given as: many associated pattern pairs should be stored. This storage should be accomplished through self-organizing process. The information should be stored in a distributed manner so that the acquired output can be received, that is, the required output can be obtained. The appropriate output response should be generated on receipt of the associated input pattern. The correct output response should be generated even if the input pattern is distorted or incomplete, that is, inculcation of noise. It should be able to add new associations to the existing memory, that is, upgradation. Now we'll move down to auto-associative neural network. So here, for an auto-associative network, the training input and target output vectors should be identical. So the training input and training output vectors here should be identical. The process of training is often called storing the vectors, which may be binary or bipolar. A stored vector can be retrieved from distorted partial noisy inputs. If the input is sufficiently similar to it, the performance of the network is judged by its ability to reproduce a stored pattern from the noisy input. And here the performance is generally better for a bipolar vectors than the binary vectors. So the performance of the bipolar vectors is better than the binary vectors in your auto-associative network. So here, if you take your set of inputs that are from x1, xi, so on till x of n, you have your outputs y1, y2, so on till y of n. So here if you see that every input is connected to every output, so that you can have, and here obviously you have your weights, so this resembles your associative network. Means every input is associated to the output, so that it can have a good combination of training data set to which it can have the required output for the given input data, even if it is noisy. Now we'll move towards the algorithm of it. For mutually orthogonal vectors, the Heb's rule is being followed for setting weights in an auto-associative net, because the input and output vectors are perfectly correlated component by component, that is, they are the same. They are same numbers of outputs as the inputs. So here the adjustments of the setting of the weights is required, because the weights are the one which carries the information. So we'll move towards the steps of the algorithm for the above networks. First is we need to initialize the weights, that is, we'll set at wij is equals to 0. Second, for each vector to be stored, we have to do the following coming steps. So the third one is set activation, that is the activation value for each input, that is I is equals to 1, 2, so on till n, that is x of I is equals to s of I. And the fourth step, set activation for each output unit. So first we are setting the activation for the input, then for the output, that is yi is equals to s of y of j is equals to s of j. So here if you see, the weights are being initialized. Then what we are doing, we are setting activation unit for the inputs, and the activation unit for the outputs. Then we are adjusting the weights. Okay, so how you are adjusting the weights? wij new weights is equals to wij old weights, that is the existing weights. Now when you are coming into practice, the weights are usually set using formula, that is weight is equals to summation of p is equals to p s power t of p s of p, rather than the algorithm form of Heb's learning, where s of p is represented as s1 of p, s2 of p, so on till sn of p. Now what is the advantages of this? First is it has the power of recurrent neutral processing within a parallel architecture. Second is the applications of this net are in speech processing, database retrieval, image processing, and other fields. Now the applied algorithm is stated for binary pattern. The activation can be modified easily to accommodate bipolar patterns. So here you can easily modify the same algorithm for your bipolar patterns, as you have already known that when you come to your auto-associative network, here you have the concept of noisy inputs, where it performs better for bipolar vectors than binary vectors. So the algorithm what was explained was with respect to the binary vectors, and it can easily be modified for bipolar vectors, that is bipolar vector inputs. So till now we have covered the concept of associative memory, auto-associative memory, moving with its characteristics, and further moving with the algorithm of it, and also the advantages of it. Now we'll move towards hetero-associative memory of neural networks. Now, associative memory neural network are networks in which the weights are determined in such a way that the net can be store a set of pattern associations. Each association is a pair of association is a pair of vectors with p is equals to 1 to so on till p. Each vector s of p has n tuples, and the vector hp has on types that weights may be found using the Heb's rule or delta rule. The network will be fixed to an appropriate output vector that corresponds to an input vector xi x1 that may be either one of the stored patterns sp or a new pattern. So this diagram you might be familiar, which we have studied earlier. That is the concept of associative memory, where all the inputs are being linked to all the outputs so that you can have a better output. So further moving towards the algorithm of it, that is step 1. Here we initialize the inputs using the Heb's rule or delta rule. Second is, for each input vector, similar we are repeating the steps. Here also activation of the input layer, and here the layer unit is should be equal to the current input vectors xi. Then we need to compute the input and output units. So here also repeating the steps 3 to 5, but the 3 to 5 steps here are a little bit different when compared to your associative memory algorithm. Now the last step we will be determining the activations of the output units, that is y of j, that is your output, is equals to 1 if y is greater than 0, equal to 0 if y is equal to 0, minus 1 if y is less than 0. The output vector y gives the pattern associated with the input vector x. This hetero-associative memory is not iterative, means we cannot repeat it. Other activation functions can also be used if target response of the net are binary. A suitable activation file is given by f of x is equals to 1 to 0, 1 if x is greater than 0, that is the input, and 0 if x is less than or equal to 0. So this was the concept of your hetero-associative memory. Further, we'll move towards bidirectional associative memory, B24 or B25, or you can also illustrate as B24, B25. So your bidirectional associative memory, abbreviated as BAM, is a hetero-associative content addressable memory consisting of two layers. So it has two layers. It uses forward and backward information flow to produce an association search for the stored stimulus response association. The BAM stores a set of pattern association by summing bipolar correlation matrices. The architecture of the net consists of two layers, as I've already told you. The two layers are of neurons connected by bidirectional weighted connections, that is bidirectional connection of the weights. The net iterates by sending the signal back and forth between the two layers until all memory reach equilibrium, that is stable state. Here the response in the Y layer, that is the output, if the input is given to the X layer and vice versa, because the weights are bidirectional. So here the input and output response has been mentioned, and the algorithm alternates between updates of the activations for each layer. Okay, now we'll move towards the architecture of it. So when you move toward the architecture of it, here non-linear feedback BAM network has n units in X layer and m units in the Y layer. Since it is a two-layer network, I have already said you, the connections between the layers are bidirectional. That is, if the weight matrix for signal sent from Y layer to X layer is Wij, the weight matrix for signal from Y to X layer is Yi. So here you can see the concept over here, where you have the inputs x1, xi, xn, the outputs yi, y1, yj, ym, with respect to the corresponding inputs x1, xi and xn. So all the combinations are being connected, and you also have a corresponding weights to them also, as that are been mentioned in the algorithm of BAM. So here we have a discrete BAM concept also. In the discrete BAM concept, two bivalent forms of BAM are closely related. In each, the weights are found from the sum of outer portions of the bipolar form of training vectors spins. Also, the activation is a step further with the possibility of non-zero threshold. It has been observed that the bipolar vectors improve the performance of the network. That is, your neural network performance is being increased by using the bipolar vectors as your inputs. So in the discrete BAM, you need to have the setting of the weights. The weight matrix to be stored is a set of input and target vectors. So here it shows how you are setting up the weights over here in the discrete BAM, and this can be determined by Heb's rule. The formula for the entire concept depends on whether the training vectors are binary or bipolar. That is, the category of the inputs is important over here. That is, your inputs are whether binary vectors or bipolar vectors. For binary input vectors, the weight matrix W is equals to Wij is given by Wij is equals to summation P 2 Si of P minus 1 to Sj of P minus 1. For bipolar input vectors, the weight matrix W is equals to Wij is given by Wij is equals to P summation Si of P Tj of P. So these are what you say the weight matrices for your bipolar, and the other one is your binary input vectors. So the two form of inputs are available for you. One is the binary and the bipolar, as already stated. So the two what you say weighting functions or weight matrices that are there over here are given by this particular equation. This is for the binary inputs and this is for the bipolar inputs. So further in the BAM, we'll move towards the activation function. In the BAM, about the activation function, the activation function for a discrete BAM is the appropriate step function depending on whether the binary or bipolar vectors are used. So here the activation function is appropriately a step function, means there is a step response depending on your input, that is whether you are considering a binary or a bipolar vector. So for the binary input vector, the activation function for the Y layer, that is the output layer, is given by this, that is Wj is equals to 1 y yj 0, if 1 for greater than 0, yj for equal to 0, 0 for less than 0. This is for the output layer, and for the input layer you have xi is equals to 1 xi 0 for corresponding same thing with respect to x. So these were for the binary layer. So as you know, you have two types of inputs, that is binary input vector and bipolar input vectors. Now we'll move towards the bipolar input vectors, that is the activation function for the bipolar input vectors with respect to the input and output. So here you have 1 and minus 1. Earlier you are having 1 and 0. Here you will be having 1 and minus 1 for all the above set conditions, and here you are having 0. Here you are having the angle theta. Okay, theta j, theta j, theta j. With respect to 0 you are having, here you are having with respect to the angle theta j, theta j, theta j, and for here theta I, theta I, theta I. Now further we'll move towards the algorithm of the BAM. The first one is the initialization of the weights to store a set of vectors and initialize all the activations to 0, that is initial setup to 0. For each testing input, again you have to repeat the steps. Here you have to repeat from 3 to 8. So what are the steps? Here the present input pattern x to x layer, that is set activation function of x layer to current input pattern. So setting is done with respect to the current input pattern, present input pattern. Present input pattern y to y layer with connection, that is you are connecting with the output. The input pattern may be 0 vector. While the activations are not converged, so you have to go over this steps 6 to 8 so as to perform the step 5. What is the step 6? Update activations of units in y layer and compute the net input. So we are updating the activations of the inputs in the output layer and computing the net input. So computation of net input and computation of the activation is being done in this step. Then we have to send the signal to the input layer. Seventh one is updation of activations of units in X layer, that is compute the net input. Earlier it was done with respect to Y layer. Here it is with respect to, that is here it was done with respect to output layer. We are doing with respect to the input layer. So this one are with respect to the input layer. And the last step, that is the test of the convergence. If the activation vector x and y have reached equilibrium, then stop. If they have achieved a stable state, then you have to stop the algorithm process, otherwise you have to continue. The other concept also you have here in the BAM, that is the continuous BAM. So further we'll start in the further we'll continue in the next class. You take the assignment here. What is Hebb's law? What is delta law? And write down it, and along with your attendance you have a portal of submit it in the word chain. If you have any doubts, feel free to comment. Thank you.